An airport is a paradox. It is, by its very nature, a place of ultimate order, a triumph of human logistics and control. Every line, every sign, every announcement is designed to move vast numbers of people from a state of grounded reality to one of suspended animation 30,000 feet in the air and back down again. It's a testament to our ability to tame chaos, to impose a grid of rules and expectations upon the fundamentally unpredictable act of travel. We walk through its brightly lit halls under the silent, watchful eyes of countless cameras, feeling a sense of institutional safety. We are scanned, ticketed, processed, and directed. We are passengers, anonymous yet accounted for, each of us a data point in a vast, intricate system designed to ensure one simple outcome: safe passage. The airport is a promise that if you follow the rules, you will arrive at your destination. But beneath this veneer of sterile order lies a more primal reality. An airport is also a place of profound transition, a liminal space where the normal rules of life are temporarily suspended. You are neither here nor there. You are untethered from your home, your routine, your language, your comfort zone. This vulnerability is the quiet, unspoken cost of adventure. We step into this non-place, this global crossroads, and for a few hours we become ghosts in the machine, surrounded by strangers from every corner of the world, each carrying their own stories, their own hopes, and their own fears. What happens when that system fails? Not the mechanical system of airplanes and baggage carousels, but the human system. What happens when the promise of safety is broken, and the place of departure becomes a vortex of terror? What happens when the chaos that the airport is designed to contain erupts from within a single person, turning a place of transition into a point of no return? On a bright summer morning, on July 8, 2014, this paradox became a terrifying reality at Varna Airport in Bulgaria. The promise was broken, the system failed, and a 28-year-old German man named Lars Mittank, a man described by everyone who knew him as gentle, stable, and kind, would step into this bubble of perceived safety and, in full view of its ever-watchful cameras, would perform one final, desperate act that would catapult him from ordinary tourist to the subject of one of the most obsessive and chilling internet mysteries of the modern era. He ran. He ran as if hell itself was at his heels. He ran past the check-in counters, past the departure gates, away from the very flight that was meant to take him home. He scaled a high-security fence topped with barbed wire and disappeared into a vast field of sunflowers. And then nothing. The silence that followed his vanishing is a void that has deepened with each passing year. We have more evidence in this case than almost any other unsolved cases of its kind. We have text messages, phone records, eyewitness accounts, and most hauntingly, we have the video. A grainy, silent film of a man's reality shattering in real time. But the more we see, the more we know, the less we seem to understand. The footage gives us a destination but no map. It shows us the what, but it screams the why. Tonight, we will attempt to trace the path that led Lars Mittank to that fence. We will walk with him through his last week on Earth as a known person. We will sit with him in the dark of his hotel room, listen to the frantic whispers on the phone to his mother, and try to piece together the fragments of a mind and a life coming undone. Was he fleeing from a tangible, human threat, a dark secret he stumbled upon in the neon-lit shadows of a resort town? Or was he running from phantoms born of injury, stress, and paranoia, demons that only he could see? This is a deep dive, a forensic exploration of a story that forces us to confront the terrifying fragility of the human mind and the thin, permeable line that separates a dream vacation from an eternal nightmare. This is the enduring, agonizing mystery of the airport disappearance of Lars Mittank. To understand the man who ran, we must first understand the man who arrived. Lars was, by every conceivable measure, an ordinary young man living an ordinary life. He was born and raised in Marne, a quiet coastal town in Schleswig-Holstein, Germany. It's a place of wind turbines, green fields, and a close-knit community. His parents, Sandra and Jorg, raised him in a loving, stable home. He grew up with a circle of friends he had known since childhood, the kind of deep, easy friendships forged over years of shared experiences, inside jokes, and unwavering loyalty. This was his anchor. As a young adult, he was a picture of stability. He had a steady job, working as a technician at the GDF Suez power plant in Wilhelmshaven. It was good, honest work, requiring skill and a level head. He was a valued employee, reliable and competent. He had been with his girlfriend, a woman whose privacy his family has diligently protected, for several years. They shared a life, a future. They were happy. Lars was a passionate supporter of the Werder Bremen football club, a love that was a significant part of his social life. He would travel with his friends to watch matches, sharing in the collective ecstasy and agony of being a true fan. But he was not a hooligan. He was not aggressive, not a troublemaker. His friends described him as the peacemaker of the group, the calm one, the one who would defuse a tense situation rather than escalate it. He was gentle, kind, and by all accounts, content. This is the man who, in late June of 2014, packed his bags for a week of sun and relaxation with his friends. The destination: Golden Sands, Bulgaria. Golden Sands. The name itself is a promise, a carefully crafted piece of marketing designed to evoke images of paradise. And for thousands of young tourists it is. It's a sprawling resort complex on Bulgaria's Black Sea coast, a concrete and neon jungle built for the singular purpose of transient pleasure. It is a world of all-inclusive hotels, sprawling swimming pools, beachfront bars pumping out Europop, and nightclubs that pulse until dawn. It is a place where, for a week, you can shed your real-world identity and become someone else, someone defined only by the pursuit of a good time. It's a place of cheap beer, sunburns, and fleeting summer romances. But like any place built on illusion, Golden Sands has an undercurrent. It exists in a symbiotic, sometimes tense, relationship with the local reality of Varna. It's a place known for its vibrant nightlife, but also for its share of petty crime, scams targeting tourists, and the ever-present shadow of organized crime that often flourishes in such cash-rich, transient environments. For Lars and his friends, however, this was just the backdrop. They were there for the sun, the sea, and the camaraderie. They arrived at the HVD Viva Club Hotel, a typical all-inclusive resort. The first few days of the trip were idyllic, unfolding exactly as planned. They spent their days on the beach, swimming in the Black Sea, playing football on the sand. They spent their nights exploring the party mile, moving from one bar to another, laughing, drinking, enjoying the easy freedom of being away from home. Lars was relaxed, happy. He was sending messages to his girlfriend, sharing photos, being the man everyone knew him to be. There was no sign of the storm to come. The sky was clear. The first cloud appeared on the evening of July 5th. The group was at a sports bar watching a World Cup match. Lars, a proud fan of his Werder Bremen club, was wearing his team's jersey. The bar was crowded, noisy with the passions of international football. A verbal disagreement broke out between Lars's group and another group of German tourists. This second group, according to his friends, were supporters of a rival Bundesliga team, Bayern Munich. The rivalry between these two clubs is a significant one in German football culture, and fueled by alcohol, the argument became heated. It was a stupid, pointless conflict about sports loyalty, the kind of chest-thumping display that happens in bars the world over. True to form, Lars's friends, and perhaps Lars himself, worked to de-escalate the situation. They decided to leave, to walk away. They moved on to another bar, and the incident seemed to be over, forgotten. A minor blip in an otherwise perfect holiday. But it wasn't over. The confrontation had planted a seed of antagonism that would germinate later that night in violence. After leaving the second bar, the group began to head back to their hotel. On the way, Lars decided he was hungry. He told his friends he was going to stop at a fast food restaurant, a place called McDonald's in some reports. Though the exact location is unclear, to grab a bite to eat. His friends were tired and wanted to go back to the hotel. They parted ways, a casual, unremarkable separation. Lars would catch up later. This was the moment the trip fractured. Alone, Lars became a target. According to the account he gave his friends the next morning, as he was leaving the restaurant, he was confronted by the same group of men from the football argument. This time, there was no argument. There was only violence. He said that 4 men surrounded him. He claimed one of them, a man he described as either Russian or Bulgarian based on his appearance or accent, was hired by the other Germans to attack him. This detail is crucial. In Lars's mind, this was not just a random fight. It was a contracted hit over a football rivalry. The man struck him with a powerful blow to the side of his head. It was a sharp, brutal impact, focused on his ear. The men then scattered, leaving Lars stunned, in pain, and alone on a foreign street in the middle of the night. The next morning, July 6th, the full extent of the damage was apparent. Lars woke up with severe pain in his jaw and ear. More alarmingly, the hearing in his left ear was almost completely gone, replaced by a loud, disconcerting ringing. This was more than just a bruise. His friends, seeing his condition, knew he needed medical attention. They found a local doctor who examined him. The diagnosis was serious: a ruptured eardrum and a possible jaw fracture. A ruptured eardrum or a perforated tympanic membrane is a tear in the thin tissue that separates the ear canal from the middle ear. The blow Lars described is a classic cause. The sudden change in pressure from the impact essentially blasts a hole in the eardrum. Beyond the immediate pain and hearing loss, it carries a significant risk. Flying with a ruptured eardrum can be incredibly dangerous. The rapid changes in air pressure during takeoff and landing can't be equalized properly. This can lead to excruciating pain, severe vertigo, nausea, and in the worst cases, permanent damage to the inner ear, resulting in total hearing loss. The doctor prescribed an antibiotic, cefprozil, sold under the brand name Cefzil 500. This was a standard precaution to prevent infection in the exposed middle ear. And he gave Lars a stark warning: he should not, under any circumstances, get on an airplane. This diagnosis was a devastating blow, not just physically but logistically. The group's flight back to Germany was scheduled to depart the very next day, July 7th. His friends were faced with a difficult choice. They had jobs to get back to, lives to return to. They couldn't afford to stay. After a difficult discussion, the decision was made. Lars would stay behind. His friends would fly home as planned. He would find a new, cheaper hotel, rest for a few days until the doctor gave him the all-clear, and then find his own way back, either by a later flight or by bus. On the morning of July 7th, his friends helped him check out of the HVD Viva Club hotel. They found him a taxi. They made sure he had enough cash. They loaded his luggage into the cab. They said their goodbyes, clapping him on the shoulder, reassuring him that everything would be fine. They promised to call, to text, to stay in constant contact. As they watched his taxi pull away, they were filled with concern, but they had no reason to believe they were doing anything other than leaving a friend to recover from a simple, if unfortunate, injury. They had no way of knowing that they were the last people in his inner circle who would ever see him in person again. His anchor was gone. He was now adrift. The taxi took Lars from the garish, tourist-centric world of Golden Sands to the more mundane reality of Varna City. His destination was the Hotel Color, a budget-friendly hotel situated on a quiet side street. It was a functional, anonymous place, a world away from the lively resort he had just left. It was here, in the sterile silence of room 21, that Lars Mittank's carefully ordered world began to unravel. Alone with his thoughts, his pain, and his growing anxiety, a profound and terrifying transformation began. Our only window into this descent is a series of phone calls and text messages he exchanged with his mother, Sandra, back in Germany. These communications are the heart of the mystery, a real-time transcript of a mind under siege. Sandra Mittank received the first call from her son shortly after he checked into the Hotel Color. He sounded agitated, his voice strained. He told her about the hotel. He said it was a strange place. He didn't elaborate, but the feeling of unease was palpable. Then the conversation took a darker turn. He began to speak in hushed tones, almost a whisper. He told her that something was wrong with his credit card. He said that he was being followed. He told her about the 4 men from the fight, the same 4 men he believed had hired someone to attack him. He was convinced they had tracked him from Golden Sands to Varna. He believed they were now outside his hotel hunting him. Sandra, a mother hearing the rising panic in her son's voice from 1,000 miles away, did her best to soothe him. She was a calm and rational presence in the face of his growing terror. She tried to reason with him. Why would these men follow him? What could they possibly want? But his fear was not rational. It was absolute. He begged her to cancel his credit and debit cards, convinced the men were after his money. Sandra, wanting to give him some peace of mind, agreed. She also offered to wire him some emergency cash via Western Union. Throughout the evening and into the night, the calls continued. Each one was more frantic than the last. He told her he had barricaded himself in his room. He said he could hear them outside. He described hiding in the dark, peering through the curtains at the empty street below, seeing shadows that he believed were his pursuers. During one of these calls, he whispered the words that would become a chilling refrain in this story. "They won't let me live, and they won't let me die." It's a deeply strange and poetic phrase. It speaks to a feeling of being trapped in a state of perpetual torment, a psychological purgatory. What did he mean by it? Did he believe they wanted to torture him, to keep him in a state of fear? Or was this the language of a mind beginning to fracture, expressing a profound internal conflict that had no connection to an external threat? At one point, he abruptly left the hotel. He was captured on the hotel's security cameras, pacing anxiously in the lobby, his eyes darting towards the windows. He then walks out the front door and disappears into the night. A short time later, he called his mother again, this time from a different location. He was whispering, breathless. He told her he had been forced to flee the hotel and was now hiding. He didn't say where. He eventually made his way back to the hotel, returning to his room, his sense of persecution now fully cemented. Let us pause here and consider his state. A young man alone for the first time on this trip in a foreign city where he doesn't speak the language. He is in physical pain from a significant injury. He is likely sleep-deprived. And he is consumed by a belief that he is being hunted by a group of men. Is this purely psychological, or is there a kernel of truth to his fear? This is where we must consider the two primary, diverging paths this story can take. Path 1 is the path of paranoia, a purely internal collapse. The theory posits that the blow to the head did more than just rupture his eardrum. It could have caused a concussion, a traumatic brain injury. The symptoms of a concussion: confusion, memory problems, emotional ability can sometimes be delayed. Coupled with the stress of his situation, the pain, and the unfamiliar environment, this could have triggered an episode of acute psychosis. His brain, injured and under stress, began to misinterpret reality. Innocent strangers on the street became his pursuers. The mundane surroundings of the hotel color became a sinister trap. And then there is the antibiotic, cefprozil. While generally safe, like many medications, it carries a list of potential side effects. And among the rare but documented neuropsychiatric side effects are anxiety, confusion, insomnia, and in extremely rare cases, hallucinations and paranoia. Is it possible that Lars was having a severe, idiosyncratic reaction to the very medication meant to heal him? Could the cefprozil have been pouring fuel on the fire of a pre-existing psychological vulnerability, or a brain injury creating a perfect storm of terror? In this scenario, the four men were ghosts, phantoms projected by his own terrified mind. The entire conspiracy was a delusion. Path 2 is the path of a real, external threat. It posits that Lars was not paranoid at all. He was rational. The fight was not about football, it was about something far more serious. Golden Sands is a known hotspot for drug trafficking and other criminal enterprises. Did Lars, by chance, witness a crime? Did he see a drug deal go down? Did the argument with the men have a deeper, more sinister context that he only revealed pieces of? In this version of events, the men were not just drunken football rivals, they were criminals. They attacked him not just out of anger, but as a warning. And when he was left behind, they saw him as a loose end, a witness who needed to be silenced or intimidated. His fear was justified. He was being followed. The hotel color was being watched. The conspiracy was real. This theory, while more dramatic, is harder to prove. It relies on a series of what-ifs and requires us to believe in a criminal conspiracy of which there is no independent evidence. Yet it aligns so perfectly with his own terrified words. He was not acting like a man who was confused. He was acting like a man who was being hunted. The night of July 7th bled into the morning of July 8th. This was the day he was scheduled to fly home. His mother, Sandra, had managed to book him a flight on Condor Airlines departing from Varna Airport. She had also, as a backup, booked him a seat on a bus that would take him overland back to Germany. She was trying to give him options, to give him a tangible path back to safety. She spent much of the night on the phone with him, a desperate, loving voice trying to anchor her son's drifting mind. Early that morning, Lars left the hotel color for the last time. He hailed a taxi to take him to the airport. The taxi driver, a man named Branimir Ivanov, would later give a chilling account of the journey. He said Lars was visibly distressed. His pupils were wide, a classic sign of fear or certain drug use. He was twitching, jumpy. He spoke of the men who were after him. The taxi journey itself was erratic. Partway to the airport, Lars suddenly demanded the driver stop. He got out of the car, looked around anxiously, and then, after a few moments, got back in, telling the driver to continue. It was as if he was trying to shake a tail, or as if he was fighting an internal battle torn between the instinct to flee and the fear of being seen. He finally arrived at Varna Airport around 6 a.m. This was it. The final gateway. A place of cameras, security guards, federal police. Logically, this should have been the safest place in Bulgaria for him. He sent a text message to his mother, a simple, "I am at the airport." He followed it with another, more cryptic message, "They will not let me fly." What did he mean? They could refer to the airline authorities, who might deny him boarding because of his ear injury. This would be a rational concern. Or did they refer to the 4 men, his shadowy pursuers? Did he believe they had infiltrated the airport itself, that their reach extended even into this bastion of security? Before he could check in, Lars knew he needed to see the airport doctor to get a medical certificate clearing him for travel. He located the medical center, a small office within the terminal complex. He walked in, carrying his life in a backpack on his shoulders, and sat down to wait. This small, sterile room would become the stage for the final, baffling act of his known existence. The airport physician, Dr. Kosta Kostov, was the last person to have a meaningful conversation with Lars Mittank. His testimony is our only account of those final minutes. Dr. Kostov described Lars as seeming nervous and insecure, but not overtly psychotic. He spoke coherently. He explained his situation, the fight, the ruptured eardrum, the need for clearance to fly. Dr. Kostov was sympathetic. He examined Lars and found him to be in a generally stable condition. He was about to give Lars the go-ahead to sign the paper that would be his ticket home. At that exact moment, the door to the medical office opened. A man entered. According to Dr. Kostov, the man was wearing the uniform of an airport construction or maintenance worker. There was renovation work happening in the terminal at the time, and the man's presence was not, in itself, unusual. He was there to speak to the doctor about the ongoing work. But for Lars Mittank, the appearance of this uniformed man was the final, catastrophic trigger. His composure, already stretched to its breaking point, shattered completely. His eyes went wide with terror. He began to tremble violently. He shot up from his chair, his body rigid with fear. Dr. Kostov recalled him muttering, in a panicked, breathless voice, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." Before the doctor or the worker could say a word, Lars turned and bolted from the room. He didn't just walk out. He fled. This is where the silent, ghostly footage from the airport's CCTV system takes over the narrative. It is a film that documents the complete and total disintegration of a man's will to go home. The first camera captures him bursting out of the medical center and into the main terminal. He is running at a full sprint. He is not jogging, he is running with the desperate, wild energy of a man fleeing for his life. He clutches his backpack to his chest. He sprints through the departure hall, a blur of motion against the backdrop of confused travelers pulling their suitcases. He runs past the check-in desks for his own flight. He runs past the signs pointing towards security and the departure gates. He is running away from safety, away from the path that would lead him back to his mother, his girlfriend, his life. He is running towards the main entrance, towards the outside world he seemed to fear so much. He reaches the automatic glass doors of the terminal's main entrance. They slide open, and he bursts through them into the bright sunlight of the Bulgarian morning. He is now on the pavement outside the airport. And here, he performs an act so illogical, so contrary to any survival instinct, that it remains one of the most baffling parts of this entire case. He stops for a fraction of a second and drops everything he owns. His backpack containing his wallet with all his cash, his mobile phone, and his passport, the 3 most essential items for any international traveler, are all abandoned on the concrete. He sheds his identity, his money, his only means of communication. He sheds his past and his future. And then, unburdened, he runs. A final camera captures the last known movements of Lars Mittank. He sprints across the airport road, dodging cars. He crosses the parking lot. His target is now clear, the airport's perimeter fence. This is not a decorative fence. It is a formidable barrier, 8 feet high, constructed of heavy-duty chain link and topped with a thick, menacing coil of barbed wire. It is designed specifically to prevent unauthorized access to the airfield and the surrounding area. Lars does not hesitate. He does not slow down. In a final, shocking display of desperate athleticism, he reaches the fence and begins to climb. He scrambles up the chain link with an agility born of pure terror. He reaches the top and somehow, miraculously, he navigates the razor-sharp barbs of the wire. He throws himself over. He lands on the other side, stumbles for a moment, and then continues running. The other side of the fence is a vast, dense field of sunflowers, their tall stalks and heavy heads creating an impenetrable wall of green and yellow. The last time a camera, or any known human being, saw Lars Mittank, he was a small, fleeting figure disappearing into that sea of sunflowers. He ran into the field and the field swallowed him whole. The aftermath was a study in confusion and slowly dawning horror. Airport security was alerted. They rushed to the section of fence he had climbed, but he was gone. The field was silent still. A search was organized immediately. Varna police, with the help of airport staff and local volunteers, began to comb the area. They focused on the sunflower field, a difficult, disorienting landscape to search. The stalks were over 6 feet tall in places, creating a dense, claustrophobic maze. The search expanded. They brought in tracker dogs, but the dogs, according to reports, could find no definitive trail. They deployed helicopters equipped with thermal imaging cameras, hoping to detect a heat signature, either of a living person hiding or a body lying in the dense vegetation. The thermal cameras revealed nothing. The search grid widened, covering the surrounding farmlands, forests, and small, remote outbuildings. They searched for days and then for weeks. They found not a single trace of Lars Mittank. No discarded clothing. No footprints. No sign of a struggle. It was as if, upon clearing that fence, he had simply ceased to exist. His abandoned backpack was the last physical piece of him left in the known world. In the years since his vanishing, the case has become a legend, a cornerstone of the internet mysteries genre. The video of his final run is a viral artifact, endlessly analyzed and debated on forums like Reddit, Websleuths, and YouTube. Every frame has been scrutinized, every shadow questioned. Armchair detectives from around the world have proposed countless theories, from the mundane to the wildly speculative. His mother, Sandra, has become a tireless, heartbreaking advocate for her son. She has transformed her grief into action, creating a Facebook page, Findet Lars Mittank, Find Lars Mittank, which has become the central hub for the search. She has worked with private investigators. She has traveled to Bulgaria multiple times, walking the same ground her son did, searching for an answer, a clue, anything. She has sifted through thousands of potential sightings, tips from people who believe they have seen Lars in Brazil, in Canada, in other parts of Europe. Most have been cruel hoaxes or cases of mistaken identity. A photo of a homeless man in Porto Velho, Brazil, gained significant traction but was eventually proven not to be him. Each lead is a spark of hope and each debunking is another turn of the knife. So we are left where we began, with the footage of a man running into a field. Let us revisit the core theories, now armed with the full, tragic narrative. Was it a psychotic break? This remains the most probable, if least satisfying, explanation. A concussion combined with extreme stress, sleep deprivation, and a possible adverse reaction to medication could have created a perfect storm in his brain. The world would have become a terrifying, hostile place. The airport, a place of traps. The construction worker, a final, undeniable threat. His run would not have been a flight from reality, but a flight within his own shattered reality. If so, he likely died of exposure or dehydration in the vast, unforgiving landscape around the airport, his remains still lying undiscovered in the dense undergrowth. Or was it a criminal conspiracy? Did he truly stumble upon something he wasn't meant to see? Was he hunted by real people? If so, they were ghosts, able to operate with terrifying efficiency, leaving no evidence of their existence. If this theory is true, then his fate was almost certainly sealed the moment he cleared that fence. His pursuers would have followed him into the field and silenced him, leaving his family to a lifetime of what-ifs. The story of the airport disappearance of Lars Mittank is a modern fable, a cautionary tale about the illusion of safety and the terrifying depths of the human psyche. It is a story with no resolution, a wound that cannot close because the central question remains unanswered. It is a testament to the fact that even in our age of constant surveillance, a person can run out of the frame and into a mystery so profound that it may never be solved. We are left with the echo of his mother's pain, the endless loop of the security footage, and the haunting image of a field of sunflowers, their faces turned towards the sun, keeping their silent, eternal secret. If you have any information, no matter how small you think it is, about what may have happened to Lars Mittank, please reach out to the proper authorities. And if you have a theory that you feel makes sense of the senseless, please share it in the comments. The dialogue is how we keep the search and his memory from fading away. Thank you for taking this long, difficult journey with me. The world is full of questions, and while we may never find the answer to this one, the act of asking is an act of remembering. Until next time, stay curious and be safe in your travels wherever they may take you.